What's up, Cowboys Nation? This is your boy, Skag Guy 4014. I just want to talk for a few minutes about my absolute, just pure disappointment in the 2020 season. I'm going to talk about three things. First thing is, I'm going to talk about the excuses I've heard this year and how they're all just a bunch of complete BS. Real quick, I want to tell you guys, I'm driving home, so if you hear a bunch of bumping and stuff, it's the truck. It's, I can't really do much about it right now. This is the only time I have to make these videos, so bear with me. Second thing I'm going to talk about is the game, the Thanksgiving Day game. We'll talk about that for a few minutes. And the third thing I'm going to talk about is what we need to do going forward the rest of the season. So bear with me for a few minutes, and if you guys have any thoughts or anything, please leave them in the comments. I will be more than happy to read them and leave responses. Just please be respectful. All right, first thing, the excuses I've heard this year, guys, are just completely bullshit. The people that have, I follow the Cowboys fan group on Facebook, so this is where a lot of this stuff is coming from. And I like to watch Gerard Johnson on YouTube and Law Nation. Shout out to those guys, by the way. You guys rock. So the excuses this year. The number one excuse I have heard this year is COVID. Now, COVID is somewhat an argument, but in my opinion, it's not an argument at all. Guys, the fact of the matter is, the Dallas Cowboys were not the only team affected by COVID-19 or the Rona or the Corona or whatever you people call it. I don't know. The disease. Woo. Anyway, guys, all 32 of the NFL teams were affected by COVID. The Steelers are 10-0, and they have overcome what COVID dealt them. Now, granted, they are the shittiest looking 10-0 team I've ever seen, and probably in the history of the NFL. Honest to God, I mean, they have put together one game where they played all four quarters, and that was against the Browns, like week 1 or 2 or whatever that was, or whatever week that was. Anyway, moving forward, COVID, guys, is not an excuse. Everybody else has been affected by it. The Cowboys are not unique in that regard. The next excuse has been the coaching staff. Now, the coaching staff has made some of the dumbest calls and statements I've ever seen ever this year. I have been watching this team since I was 13 years old, and guys, Mike McCarthy, who I would have rather had Mike than any of the other candidates they were looking at, but guys, Mike McCarthy has made some of the dumbest statements in a press conference I've ever seen, I've ever read. Come the fuck on. Anyway, moving forward off of that, guys, Mike Nolan has got to go. Kellen Moore has got to go. Kellen Moore calls up the dumbest shit for offensive plays I have ever seen somebody call up. It blows my mind, some of the dumbass plays that he calls up. I mean, now, some people pointed out to me on Facebook that Kellen Moore did not call the infamous 4th and 10 fake punt on our own 25. Well, whoever called that needs to be kicked in the nuts, drug out in the street, and shot. Holy shit. Guys, like I said, been watching since I was 13 years old. That was the dumbest. I mean, holy shit. That was the dumbest damn play I have ever seen in my life. That was so humiliatingly stupid. It blows my mind that Mike McCarthy allowed that to be the play. Now, Now maybe the head coaching staff or whatever is on board with the tanking idea. That's fine. If you're on board with that, that's fine. But god damn it. I mean, are you serious? 4th and 10, your own 25, you're going to run a fake punt that gains no yards because the guy didn't even throw the damn ball. Oh, and then one play later, Washington scored on it off of a, 23-yard dash for the score. Okay, you know what? Fine, whatever. You want to play like that, then play like that. But whoever called that up, guys, that was just stupid. Another thing about Kellen Moore's play calling, I want to point out, and how just terribly dumbass it has been. I mean, I don't know how many times I've read on Facebook that Kellen Moore is a dumbass because of all the stupid ass play calling he does. Guys, perfect example. Excuse me. Jalen Smith gets an interception and runs it back to the 4-yard line, nearly having a pick six. Nearly. You know what? Would have loved to have seen the pick six, but you know what? Having it on the 4-yard line, you know what? I'll take it. I'm sure me and a lot of other people saw that and was like, oh, damn, he didn't get in. But you know what? We're on the 4. Let's go. Guys, that could have been a pivotal moment in that game if one thing had gone another way. So Jalen Smith is pushed out of bounds, or he fell over at the 4 or whatever it was. So the first play from scrimmage after that, what do? Kellen Moore calls up, I believe it was a draw play. Ezekiel Elliott going to run it up the middle. Well, the Washington Redskins defensive, I think that's the front 7, I believe, blew the play up, and Ezekiel Elliott got tackled for like a 4 or 5 yard loss on it, which in itself was just fucking silly. The next play was the most unnecessary, stupid, shitty, just unimaginative piece of play calling filth I have ever seen. Right next to the bullshit fake punt. So Kellen Moore, they decide they're going to throw it. Kellen Moore calls up, I don't know what it really was, some bullshit little razzle-dazzle end-around jet sweep thing where they tossed the ball back and forth 2 or 3 times and then threw it to, I think it was Andy Dalton was the last one to have it. And then he throws it or whatever, or I can't remember what happened, and then he got hit for a loss. It's like, it was just so unnecessary. Like, what? And I remember sitting there watching the game, and I got my 83-year-old grandmother sitting next to me. She's watching it with me. And I stood up and I said, what the hell was that? I could not believe what I had just seen for a play call that was just completely unnecessary. And then on the third play, on the third down play, and we need to score at this point, it's score or kick a field goal, Andy Dalton threw it and put the ball in CeeDee Lamb's hands. I mean, and even Joe Buck and Troy Aikman said it. Andy Dalton put that ball right on the money. I mean, could not have thrown that twice and hit the same spot. And CeeDee Lamb dropped it. Now, granted, CeeDee Lamb was about to get absolutely destroyed on a tackle after making the catch. Granted, CeeDee Lamb is a rookie. You know what? I mean, and shit happens. I can't be necessarily too mad at that because holy shit, that we shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. And then 4th down, we're going to send the field goal team out to get a field goal off of what should have arguably been a pick 6. But you know what? Getting it, picking it off and taking it all the way back to the 4 is practically, a gimme. I digress. So then I guess it was a little bit after that, or maybe it was, I can't remember. It was after that was guys, I cannot believe how goddamn stupid that play call was on that fake punt. You have got to be shitting me. I mean, I remember when that happened, I immediately went to Facebook and said, what the fuck was that? I mean, I don't know why we're running all these stupid-ass trick plays when it's just so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary, and it doesn't fool anybody. So, Kellen Moore gotta fucking go. Whoever called the play, the fake punt, gotta fucking go. Get out. I'm so sick of this shit. It's been like this all year. I think I've said enough on that for now. Alright, the game. The Thanksgiving game, which, of course, nationally televised. I swear, you know, people just love it to see the Cowboys get their ass kicked on national television. That's what it's been all year. Of course, it's been that same way for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who can't win a meaningful game outside of the Green Bay game. Anyway, so the game. Once again, they came out. Now, in the first half was pretty competitive. I got to give them some props on that because the first half was pretty competitive. Now, here's the problem with me giving props. Football is a game of 4 quarters equaling 60 minutes. You know, you can win the first half, that's fine, but you got to win the second half. So, I remember going down at halftime, and I'm like, okay, this is a winnable game. You know, that they could get their shit together in the third quarter and get it together and march, because they had the ball to start the third quarter, and I thought they could march it down on the third quarter and punch Washington in the mouth and score and make a game of it and really put Washington in a bad position, you know, against the wall. That, of course, never came to fruition. So, I mean, guys, after, you know, a couple, you know, I think once that fake punt happened in the third quarter, that was it. The wind was out of the sails at that point. There was no hope at that point for them to win. I mean, guys, I am so sick of this week in and week out. It is pissing me off. It is constant every week. The offense is not executing. The defense is just, I mean, the defense guys can't stop a nosebleed. Good God Almighty. Cannot, I mean, I swear a stiff breeze could blow them all down. One other thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to add to this real quick, is Ezekiel Elliott. Guys, I don't know what his fucking problem is, but he needs to get that shit under control. Guys, the Minnesota game was the first game all year he had 100 yards on the ground. Guys, and I know the O-line has been banged up and we've been riddled with injuries, but come on. I mean, it's basically inexcusable at this point. It is so horrendous at this point. Ezekiel Elliott fumbling the ball I swear he's fumbled it every game. Guys, that is just inexcusable. It's inexcusable. And you know, a lot of people have pointed this out on Facebook. Did Ezekiel Elliott getting paid $90 million just immediately turn him into just, you know, a little bit better than average? I don't know. But he has proven the reason you don't pay a running back that kind of money. That's just one of those things you don't do. The Patriots never did that. And look at all the success they had running in the last 10 years or so. They never paid Blunt or Rex Burkhead or whoever that much money. But, I mean, I don't know if Ezekiel Elliott needs to polish up his ball security at practice or what it is. But, dude, get that shit under control. I mean, guys, so now I'm going to move on to the third point at this point, because I think I've talked about the game enough. We all sat there and watched it. We all have our own opinions, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's just ridiculous at this point. So, of course, I could talk for days about the game, but I'm going to talk about moving forward from the rest of the season. Guys, and, you know, I like I said, been watching since I was 13, and I hate to use the word tank and Cowboys in the same sentence, because, guys, we are NFL royalty, and it's just not a good look, really, mainly for any team when you're tanking. But, guys, let's be honest with ourselves for just a few minutes. For the rest of this season, let's just be honest with ourselves. Guys, the Cowboys should not win the rest of the season. I personally, and there's a lot of others that see this. Guys, I do not see them winning another game the rest of the year. I honestly don't. And to the people that on Facebook that say we can still win the division with 6 wins, or we can still have a playoff push, we can do this, we can do that, I have 2 words to say to that. Shut up. I mean, do you understand the just pure insanity of that statement? So you want, first off, thinking that this Cowboys team this year can string together 3 wins in a row and win the division is just fucking silly. The second part of that is wanting the Cowboys to go in the wild card and play. You know, I don't know what the playoff picture will look like, but the fact that you think the Cowboys can go into a wild card game, first off, even get there, and second off, wanting the Cowboys to get into the wild card game and play. I'm going to use the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as an example, because they will more than likely make the wild card at a minimum. They'll be in the wild card because they won't win their division. Guys, that's just insane, because the Cowboys would get bitch slapped for 60 minutes of football for 3 hours of real time for the world to see. Do you guys really want to watch that? Because I sure don't. And, you know, a lot of people say, you know, oh, well, you know, you're not really a true fan if you don't want the team to win every game, blah, 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 blah. I mean, guys, if there was one game I wanted Dallas to win this year better than any of the other ones, it was the Seattle game. Because, guys, we were in a position to win that game, and the defense fucked it up. Because that's what the defense has done all year, is fuck it up. Like I said earlier, a stiff breeze could blow that defense down. And Mike Nolan's got to go, because he is the root of the problem. Not to say that, you know, we've had injuries and blah, 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 because we have had injuries. We have had a shitload of injuries this year. And that plays into it as well, and I understand that. But, guys, that defense gets out there, and you can pretty much bet that they're going to give up either a crap load of yards and a field goal, or they're just going to go ahead and give up the touchdown. So you take your pick on that. To add to that, the going forward, guys, we need to go ahead and crank the tank and look forward to the draft. Now, I don't know. Now, I really, honestly do not know who we should take first round. I mean, I can say my opinion who I think we should take first round, and that's Justin Fields. Because if anything, you know, okay, maybe Dak can come back and he's better, or he's healthier or whatever. I mean, I like Dak a lot, but I feel like he's not going to be the same player if he comes back off of that serious injury. Because, guys, that was a really bad injury. So, if anything, draft Justin Fields, and then he's, he could be leveraged. They could look at the New York Jets or something, or maybe that's a terrible example, but they could look at somebody and go, hey, we'll trade you Justin Fields, and I'm not an expert how this works, but hey, we'll trade you Justin Fields if you give us your first round pick or your second round pick, blah blah, something like that. I don't know how it all works, but I'm like, that might be a bad example, but it is what it is. But guys, it's over. Guys, the minute Dak went down holding his leg, it was over. I've been trying to tell people that on Facebook, but guys, the minute he went down, the chances of getting into the playoffs went out the window at that point. It's just embarrassing at this point. They need to just go ahead and tank the rest of the season, get a top 5 draft pick, which they're pretty much already in line for as it is. But come on, I mean, it's over, and that's all that there is to say about it, especially after yesterday, because guys, we are 1-3 in the division right now. We have 1 game against New York and 1 game against Philly as far as the division. And guys, I mean, they might beat New York, but I don't see them beating Philly. As bad as Philly is this year, I don't see that happening. I just don't see that. So, anyway, I could talk more about this, but I'm kind of out of ideas right now to talk about. But like I said, I mean, guys, it's over. The 4th and 10 fake punt was just the stupidest goddamn thing I've ever seen. And guys, another thing we all need to face is the common denominator of the last 25 years of just mediocrity, and that is Jerry Jones. Guys, we all know it. And Jerry Jones, the owner, is great. Jerry Jones, the GM, is terrible. And it'll probably never happen as long as he's in the driver's seat of the franchise. But guys, that's the root of the problem right there. The buck stops here, the problems start there. So, like I said, let me know your comments let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please be respectful. You can take what I said with a grain of salt. I'm fine with that. Like I said, shout out to Law Nation and Gerard Johnson and all you other Cowboys nuts out there like me. Hope you guys have had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you guys for listening very much. And as always, go Cowboys.